Welcome to Moving Forward with my host,
Karen Casino.
and myself, Ryan White. We have with us today Jason Sheinberg. He is an estate planning attorney with the law offices of Jason Sheinberg, or the Sheinberg Law Group, right? Perfect. Today, we're going to talk about estate planning, and more importantly, in this sense, the ins and outs of estate planning. Very exciting. Why do we need an estate plan?
Well, thank you for having me, Ryan, and thank you, Karen. It's an honor to be here and a thrill, so thank you. So estate planning is, I think, pretty essential for anybody who has any sort of assets. And if you live in the state of California and you own property, then chances are you're a perfect candidate for having an estate plan. Estate planning is essential for what I do for a couple of reasons. One would be avoiding probate, which is just a nasty, nasty process that we'll talk a little bit about more here in a minute. And another reason that you would want to have an estate plan is for incapacity planning, in case you happen to lose capacity and someone needed to deal with your assets and manage your assets. But essentially, having an estate plan is something that almost all of us need, and unfortunately not a lot of people have, which still blows my mind because estate plans have been, especially the living trust, has been going around, let's say, for quite some time,
long time
now. It's not a new concept, but I think people just try to generally avoid talking about their demise, and so that is why it may not be so prevalent with people who really should have one.
You see that?
So there's different parts of an estate plan, right? Different documents that you have to have for an estate plan. Tell us what those different documents are.
Sure. So, Karen, when most people come see us, first of all, they ask for a will, okay? And wills are a bit outdated, but they are a part of a good estate plan. So the cornerstone of any good estate plan is a living trust. And a living trust is a device, a vehicle, basically a set of documents that you put together and you say, who's going to receive your estate? So my two children will receive my estate after my wife and I pass away. And then it also says who's going to be in charge after you're gone. This is what we call the successor trustee. So who's going to distribute my assets to my children? And that's really the cornerstone of all of it. And we place our assets into the name of this trust. So you take your home and you transfer it from, John Doe and Jane Doe, husband and wife, to the Doe Family Trust. Okay, so that's a part of the process. There's also something called a pour-over will, which, like I said, standalone wills are a bit outdated, but a pour-over will, which says I leave everything to my trust, is a really key document to have along with the trust because it will sweep in assets that are not titled in the name of the trust, or personal property, your vehicles, your jewelry, your baseball cards, all that good stuff. And then there's two documents that help with incapacity planning. Your durable power of attorney, which is, if you become incapacitated, it would allow your wife or the next person in line to go to the bank and sign checks for you and deal with your insurance providers and whatnot. And then there's a healthcare power of attorney, also known as an advanced healthcare directive. And that would be if you were incapacitated, who would speak to your physicians, who would carry out your last wishes, and generally just deal with your medical decisions. So every good estate plan should have a trust, a will, a durable power of attorney, and a healthcare power of attorney.
4 docs.
4 docs.
4 docs.
Yeah, and then you have to fund it as well. You've got to make
That's
sure
an
that
important
all of
part.
your assets get in the name of the trust. Otherwise, it's just sort of a useless stack of documents.
You teased us a little bit about the benefits of an estate plan and how it avoids probate.
Yeah.
Why does probate suck, and why do I want to avoid it?
Yeah, probate is definitely something that we all want to avoid. Probate is where you pass away and your assets are just in your name alone. They're not in a living trust. And what happens is these assets are then thrown into probate court before a probate judge That judge will then decide who gets your estate, which is generally, your children or your loved ones. But sometimes if you have an estranged child, that could be a problem. So there's really no flexibility. Okay, your assets go to the probate court. The probate judge says where they go. So you don't get to you're gone. You don't get to say where they're going. It takes forever, okay, which I tell people are always concerned about the money aspect of it, and the money aspect is tough too. It takes about 3 to 4% of your estate to go through probate, as well as costs and executor fees as well. So it can be a very pricey endeavor, but what is the worst part about it is that it's a public spectacle that takes, about a year's worth of time. So whereas when you have a trust, everything is done through me, with me, in my office. We generally don't have to go to court or do anything like that. There's still cost, there's still time, but it's a much easier process that doesn't allow for your estate to be, again, open for everyone to see and be made public. So
That sounds awful.
It is awful, but again, it's so amazing, Karen, how many people, even high-profile people. I remember reading about Prince and various celebrities.
Whitney Houston,
Aretha Franklin. Some amazing people that you would think would have all their affairs in order, and then they pass away, and their estate is now thrown into probate court, and it's now tabloid fodder, TMZ, and people are fighting for years over who gets control of these lucrative estates. So, but again, I just don't think people really want to deal with discussing their demise.
Sure. So how does it work if I want to set up my estate plan and I contact you? Just give me an idea of what happens once I contact you, and what do I need to do?
Sure. We like to keep it pretty simple, and it is, for being something that's so serious, it is a pretty simple process. So I'll receive a call from a new client, and we'll have a 10 or 15-minute conversation, just kind of getting to know each other. And then from there, we'll move on to, an in-person meeting at my office, about an hour, where I ask them specifically, where do you want your estate to go to? And if you were incapacitated, who would be your power of attorney? And who would be in charge as your trustee? And all these questions. That's about an hour. And then after that, we follow up with a nice, succinct, email with all the stuff that we talked about. And then they come back in about 2 weeks, sign all the documents. We record the deed to put the property in the trust and help them get their bank accounts in the name of the trust. And so, it's about a 2-week turnaround, 2 meetings. And from what I hear from people, it's actually a lot easier and better than they thought. So we'll have people come in and they're scared to talk to me.
Sure.
They're scared to have this meeting. And by the end of the process, they're just glowing because they've got that done. They can sleep better at night.
Yes,
they don't have to worry about.
It's probably a weight lifted when it's over with.
Totally. And I tell people we sell peace of mind.
Yeah.
That's really what we sell. We sell a stack of paper in a binder and peace of mind. And that's what it is. You put this binder on your shelf. Hopefully you don't have to think about it, again. And then you just stay healthy and live your life.
We've been talking with Jason Sheinberg. He is with the Sheinberg Law Group. He is an estate planning attorney, as you mentioned. Thank you for being with us.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it. And thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.